Stock Trading Psychology by Mark Douglas.
Trade execution. The ability to execute trades flawlessly so you can utilize your trading plan to its maximum potential. This is the big one right here. This is the area, because when you get right down to it, trading is about trading is execution. The act of trading is executing trades. And if you're going to execute trades, you're going to have to be able to do them without errors, because it doesn't make any sense to think that you will achieve a consistently rising equity curve if you're constantly making trading errors. Trading errors would be defined as mistakes. Mistakes that detract from your bottom line results. Now, the interesting thing about mistakes is that when you're trading from the, let's say, the perspective of, it doesn't really take anything to win, then there really aren't any mistakes that you can make, because anything that you do could result in a winning trade for any reason. But when we're talking about making consistent money or an income that we can rely on, then everything changes about this. Everything changes. What I'm talking about here is I'm talking about these like 5 or 4 broad skill sets to be able to create consistent results, the kind of results that you can rely on as an income. You're going to have to learn an edge. You're going to have to acquire a trading methodology that gives you an edge. I'm defining an edge as that there's a higher probability of one thing happening over another. That's what an edge is. And we're going to learn the nature of probabilities here in a moment. You're going to have to have, have a plan on how you utilize that edge, meaning what the risk is, position size, and profit objectives. Then you're going to have to be able to execute. You're going to have to get to the point where you can execute that edge without making errors. For you to be able to execute that edge without making errors, you're going to have to learn how to trade from a carefree state of mind, meaning you're going to have to aspire to the point where you can trade without fear. And to trade without fear, you're going to have to learn how to think in probabilities. That's basically where we're going here. When I said this primary skill was learning how to trade without fear, learning how to trade without fear is a function of learning how to think in probabilities. Meaning we're going to set aside or move from thinking in a trade-by-trade mentality. In other words, what this trade is going to do for me right now, am I right or wrong on this trade? And we're going to move to a series of trades perspective, because that's what your methodology does anyway. Any trading methodology just gives you a win or loss ratio over a percentage of trades. In other words, if I take the same criteria that's in any kind of technical formula that's mathematical based,